My name is Natalie Brooks. I'm 30. Last Tuesday at 2:47 p.m., I was standing in the marble lobby of Republic Plaza in Denver when my mother slapped me across the face in front of 14 witnesses and said, "You were never really ours anyway." My cheek burned. The security guard near the elevator bank had his hand on his radio. A woman in a charcoal suit gasped. My mother's hand was still raised, trembling, her wedding ring catching the light from the floor-to-ceiling windows. Behind her, my father stood with his arms crossed, his face set in that expression I'd learned to read by age 7, the one that meant he'd already made his decision and nothing I said would matter. "Karen, let's just go inside," my older sister Jessica said, touching our mother's elbow. She glanced at me with something that might have been pity if I didn't know her better. "We're making a scene." "A scene?" My mother's voice cracked. "My own daughter steals from her uncle, manipulates a dying man, and I'm making a scene?" I hadn't stolen anything. I hadn't manipulated anyone. But I'd learned at 13 that defending yourself only gives them more ammunition. "The attorney is waiting," I said quietly. My face still stung. I could feel my pulse in my teeth. "Before I go on, if stories about standing up for yourself mean something to you, please hit like and subscribe and tell me in the comments where you're watching from right now and what time is it there." My assistant, Marco, stood in my doorway with 2 cups of coffee and a concerned expression. He'd been with me for 3 years, since I'd been promoted to CFO, and he knew exactly how rare it was for me to take personal calls during work hours. "Your parents?" he asked quietly. "Former parents," I said. "Legally speaking." "Let me take you back 17 years to the last good memory I have before everything shattered. I was 13, sitting at our family dinner table on a Tuesday in June. It was Jessica's high school graduation party, and our dining room was packed with relatives I barely knew. My mother had made her famous honey-glazed salmon, and the whole house smelled like brown sugar and lemon. Jessica sat at the head of the table in a white dress, her college acceptance letter to Stanford framed on the wall behind her like a religious icon. I'd gotten my report card that day, straight A's. I was in 8th grade, top of my class, already accepted into a competitive STEM summer academy at the University of Denver. I'd been waiting all evening for the right moment to tell my parents. "Natalie, go get more ice," my mother said without looking at me. I went to the kitchen. When I came back, my father was standing, raising a glass of champagne. "To Jessica," he said, "who's proven that excellence runs in this family. Stanford, here she comes. We couldn't be prouder." Everyone clapped. Jessica smiled that perfect smile she'd practiced since she was 6. And I stood there holding a bucket of ice, watching my own achievements evaporate into background noise. That was the moment. Not the worst moment, not even the moment that broke everything. Just the moment I realized I was invisible, unless they needed something from me. 2 months later, my parents told me I couldn't attend the STEM Academy. The program cost $3,400 for 6 weeks. My father said they couldn't afford it. Then, 3 days later, I overheard them on the phone arranging a $6,800 European tour for Jessica before college started. I made the mistake of asking why. "Jessica's worked hard for this," my mother said. We were in the kitchen. She was chopping vegetables with sharp, angry movements. "She's earned rewards. You need to understand that not everything is about you." "I worked hard too," I said. My voice cracked. I was 13. I didn't know how to argue without crying. "I have straight A's. The academy is for my future." "Your grades are expected," my father said from the doorway. "Jessica's achievements are exceptional." I felt my face burn so hot my ears rang. "What's the difference?" That's when my mother said the thing that changed everything. She put down the knife, turned to look at me with this flat, exhausted expression, and said, "The difference is that Jessica never makes us regret having her." The air left the room. I remember the exact pattern of the tile floor beneath my feet. Small white hexagons with gray grout. I'd stared at that floor 1,000 times doing homework at the kitchen table. Now it felt like the floor of a stranger's house. "Karen," my father said quietly. A warning. But my mother wasn't done. We've given you everything, Natalie. A home, food, education, and all you do is complain that it's not enough. Do you know how exhausting that is? Do you have any idea how much easier our lives would be if you could just be grateful? I don't remember what I said next. Something about the academy, about promises they'd made, about fairness. The words don't matter because they didn't hear them. They never heard me. By the end of that conversation, I'd been grounded for disrespecting your mother, and the STEM Academy letter was in the trash. 3 weeks later, Jessica left for Europe. I spent those 3 weeks mostly in my room, reading books I'd checked out from the library about business and finance. If grades didn't matter, if being good didn't matter, then I'd find something else that did. Something measurable. Something they couldn't dismiss. On August 2nd, 2008, there was a family meeting. My parents, Jessica, me, and my uncle Raymond, my father's younger brother who I'd maybe met twice in my life at Thanksgiving dinners. He lived 4 hours north in Fort Collins and ran some kind of real estate business. He'd always been nice to me in a distant, polite way, asking about school, remembering my birthday. My father had called him for reasons I didn't understand yet. Natalie's been increasingly defiant, my mother explained to Uncle Raymond like I wasn't sitting right there. She refuses to accept consequences. She argues about everything. We've tried grounding her, therapy, taking away privileges. Nothing works. She's 13, Uncle Raymond said slowly. He was watching me, not them. What exactly has she done? It's the attitude, my father said. The constant entitlement, the resentment toward her sister. We can't live like this anymore. Uncle Raymond's expression didn't change, but something shifted in his eyes. You called me here to discuss your daughter's attitude? We're exploring options, my mother said carefully. Gregory thought perhaps a different environment might help Natalie mature. That's when I understood. They weren't trying to fix me. They were trying to remove me. The next day, August 3rd, 2008, at 10:30 a.m., my parents took me to family court. There was a judge, 2 lawyers, and a social worker who asked me exactly 4 questions about whether I felt safe at home. I said yes, because at 13, I didn't have the vocabulary to explain that you can be unsafe in ways that don't leave bruises. My parents signed the papers, voluntary relinquishment of parental rights. Just like that, I stopped being their daughter. The judge asked if anyone was willing to assume guardianship. Uncle Raymond, who'd driven down that morning and sat quietly in the back of the courtroom, raised his hand. I'll take her, he said. I moved into Uncle Raymond's house in Fort Collins that same evening. He lived alone in a small 2-bedroom craftsman with a vegetable garden in the back and an office full of filing cabinets. The spare bedroom had been his home office, but he'd moved everything out and set up a bed, a desk, a bookshelf. You'll start school here in the fall, he said. You'll have chores, rules, curfew, standard stuff. But I need you to know something, Natalie. You're not a guest here. You're not temporary. This is your home now, do you understand? I nodded. I didn't cry until he left the room. Uncle Raymond kept his word. I started high school at Fossil Ridge that September. I joined the business club, the debate team, the volunteer tutoring program. I worked weekends at his office learning about commercial real estate, lease agreements, property valuations, market analysis. He paid me $12 an hour and made me open a savings account. 2 years later, in 2010, he legally adopted me. I became Natalie Brooks again, but this time it meant something different. He took me to a nice restaurant in Denver to celebrate, and over dessert he said, I want you to promise me something. Whatever happens with your parents, whatever they say or do, don't let them make you small. You were never the problem. Do you hear me? I hear you, I said. I mean it, little architect. That was his nickname for me because I was always sketching floor plans and building designs in my notebooks. You're going to build something big someday. I can see it. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise. I kept that promise. I graduated high school as valedictorian with a 4.0 GPA. I got a full academic scholarship to the University of Colorado Boulder and majored in business administration with a minor in finance. I graduated in 3 years instead of 4, maintaining a 3.94 GPA while working part-time at Uncle Raymond's company, Brooks Commercial Properties. He'd started the company in 2009, a year after I moved in. Started with one small office building in Fort Collins and grew it steadily. By the time I graduated college in 2016, he had a portfolio worth $3 million across northern Colorado, office spaces, retail centers, a few apartment complexes. I started as an intern, minimum wage, filing papers, making coffee, sitting in on meetings and taking notes. 6 months later, he promoted me to junior analyst. A year after that, controller. By 2019, I was CFO, and the portfolio had grown to $17.7 million. Uncle Raymond was brilliant at finding undervalued properties. I was brilliant at making them profitable. We were a perfect team. I didn't hear from my parents once during those 11 years. Not a birthday card, not a Christmas call, nothing. Jessica sent me one email in 2012, a cheerful update about her consulting job in San Francisco, ending with, "Hope you're doing well," like we were college roommates who'd drifted apart, not sisters whose parents had legally discarded one and kept the other. I didn't respond. In December 2023, Uncle Raymond was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. He'd been having stomach pain for months, but kept brushing it off as stress. By the time he saw a doctor, it was too late for surgery. They gave him 6 to 12 months. He lived for 13 months and 10 days. He spent that time doing two things: preparing me to take over the company completely, and organizing his estate with meticulous detail. "There's going to be a fight," he told me one afternoon in November 2024. We were in his home office, the same office he'd cleared out for me back in 2008. He was thin now, his face gaunt, but his mind was still sharp as broken glass. "When I die, Gregory will show up. Maybe Karen too. Probably Jessica if they tell her there's money involved. They're going to claim I manipulated you, or you manipulated me, or some nonsense about their rights as family." "You're their family," I said. "I'm not. They made that very clear." "Exactly." He smiled, a real smile that still had fight in it. "That's why I've been documenting everything. Saving everything. I've got lawyers who know exactly what to do, but I need you to promise me you won't settle. When they come, and they will come, don't give them a single dollar just to make them go away. Make them see the documents. Make them face what they did." "I promise," I said. Uncle Raymond died on January 2nd, 2025, at 3:17 a.m. I was holding his hand. His last words were, "Build something big, little architect." The funeral was small. Just me, a handful of Uncle Raymond's business associates, a few neighbors, and the staff from Brooks Commercial Properties. My parents didn't come. Neither did Jessica. I didn't invite them, but they didn't know Uncle Raymond had died until 3 days later when the obituary ran in the Denver Post. That's when the calls started. My father called first. "I saw the news about Raymond," he said. "I'm sorry for your loss. He was a good man." "Thank you," I said. I was sitting in Uncle Raymond's office, my office now, surrounded by boxes of his personal effects I needed to sort through. "I assume there will be arrangements to handle," my father continued. "Estate matters. We should coordinate. As his brother, I'll need to be involved in those decisions." "Everything's already handled," I said. "Uncle Raymond was very thorough." There was a pause. "Well, I'd still like to review the documents. For clarity." "His attorney will be in touch," I said, and hung up. My mother called 2 hours later. "Natalie, we need to talk about this situation. Your father is very upset. Raymond was his brother. He has a right to be included in estate decisions. Uncle Raymond included exactly who he wanted to include, I said. Don't be difficult, my mother said, and there was that word again, sharp as a slap. This is family business. Whatever happened in the past, we need to handle this like adults. I hung up without responding. Jessica's email came that evening. Subject line, we should talk. The message was 3 paragraphs of gentle concern about healing old wounds and honoring Uncle Raymond's memory by coming together as a family. It ended with, I know things were hard when we were kids, but we're adults now. Let's move forward. I deleted it. The calls continued for 2 weeks. My father, my mother, sometimes both on speakerphone. Always the same theme. Family, unity, doing the right thing, not being difficult. They never once asked how I was doing. Never acknowledged that I'd just lost the only parent I'd had for 17 years. On January 28th, my father sent a certified letter to my office. I opened it in front of Marco and my attorney, Patricia Chen, who'd been Uncle Raymond's attorney and was now mine. The letter informed me that Gregory Brooks, as Raymond Brooks' surviving brother and next of kin, was contesting the estate distribution and demanding full disclosure of all assets, trusts, and final wishes. It threatened legal action if I didn't comply within 10 business days. Patricia read it twice, then looked at me over her reading glasses. Are you ready for this? Yes, I said. Your uncle prepared for this exact scenario. He has documentation going back to 2008, financial records, the relinquishment papers, adoption records, birthday cards he sent you that they returned unopened, emails he tried to send your parents about your achievements that they never answered. He even kept a journal documenting their complete lack of contact with you for 17 years. He knew they'd try this, I said. He knew exactly what kind of people they were, Patricia said. The question is whether you want to settle quietly or make them face it publicly. I thought about Uncle Raymond's last request. Don't settle, make them see the documents. Publicly, I said. Schedule the will reading. Invite everyone who needs to be there. Make it official. Patricia smiled. I was hoping you'd say that. The will reading was scheduled for February 10th, 2025, at 2 p.m. in Patricia's law office on the 47th floor of Republic Plaza in downtown Denver. Patricia sent formal invitations to my parents, to Jessica, to Uncle Raymond's business partners, to the heads of the 3 charities he'd supported, to his accountant, to his financial advisor, and to me. 17 people total would be in that room. My parents called the day after receiving the invitation. Finally, my father said, some transparency. We'll see you Tuesday. Looking forward to it, I said, which was true in a way they couldn't possibly understand. The morning of February 10th, I woke up at 5:47 a.m. I hadn't slept well. I put on my navy blue suit, the one I'd worn to Uncle Raymond's funeral, and drove from my apartment in the Highlands neighborhood to downtown. I arrived at Republic Plaza at 1:30 p.m., 30 minutes early, and sat in Patricia's waiting room reviewing the quarterly financial reports for Brooks Commercial Properties. The portfolio was worth $23.7 million now, a 34% increase in 6 years. Uncle Raymond would have been proud. My parents arrived at 1:55 p.m. I heard my mother's voice in the hallway before I saw them, that particular sharp tone she used when she wanted to sound authoritative. We're here for the Brooks estate reading. Yes, we're family. Gregory Brooks, he was Raymond's brother. They walked into the waiting room and stopped when they saw me. My father looked older, grayer at the temples, wearing an expensive charcoal suit. My mother had cut her hair short and wore pearl earrings I recognized from my grandmother's collection. Jessica appeared behind them in a black dress that probably cost more than my first car, her face carefully neutral. Natalie, my father said, like we'd seen each other last week instead of 17 years ago. Gregory, I said. Karen, Jessica. My mother's mouth tightened. We're still your parents, Natalie. You can call us Mom and Dad. Actually, I said, keeping my voice level, I can't. Legally speaking, you stopped being my parents on August 3rd, 2008, remember? Jessica looked away. My father's jaw clenched. My mother opened her mouth, then closed it. Patricia's assistant appeared. We're ready for you now. The conference room was enormous, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking downtown Denver. The Rocky Mountains were visible in the distance, snow-capped and brilliant against the blue sky. A long mahogany table dominated the room, surrounded by leather chairs. Patricia sat at the head, flanked by her associate and a court reporter. The other attendees were already seated: Marcus Reeves and Donna Park from Brooks Commercial Properties, representatives from the Colorado Housing Coalition, the Fort Collins Education Foundation, and the Northern Colorado Medical Center. Uncle Raymond's accountant Stephen Wu, his financial advisor Janet Morales, and several others I recognized from the company. My parents took seats on one side of the table. I sat directly across from them. Jessica sat next to our mother, her hands folded on the table in front of her. Patricia began with standard formalities: date, time, attendees present. Then she opened a leather folder and pulled out a document. This is the last will and testament of Raymond Marcus Brooks, executed on November 30th, 2024, in sound mind and witnessed by myself and my associate, Martin Gray. I'll read the relevant portions aloud. She started with the small bequests. $25,000 to each charity, $10,000 to his housekeeper of 12 years, $5,000 to his favorite coffee shop in Old Town Fort Collins, personal items to various friends. Then, to my niece, Jessica Ann Brooks, I leave nothing, as she has a family who has provided for her extensively throughout her life. Jessica's face went white. My mother made a small sound. Patricia continued without pausing. To my brother, Gregory Michael Brooks, and his wife, Karen Lynn Brooks, I leave nothing. They know why. My father stood up. This is ridiculous. Raymond was clearly not in his right mind. We'll contest this. Mr. Brooks, Patricia said calmly, I suggest you sit down. There's more. He sat. His face was red. Patricia pulled out another document. On August 3rd, 2008, Gregory and Karen Brooks appeared in Denver Family Court and signed a voluntary relinquishment of parental rights, terminating their legal relationship with their daughter, Natalie Christine Brooks, then age 13. The stated reason was inability to manage behavioral issues. This document has been verified and certified by the court. She slid copies across the table. My mother's hands shook as she picked up her copy. On September 15th, 2010, Patricia continued, Raymond Marcus Brooks legally adopted Natalie Christine Brooks, becoming her legal parent. This adoption was finalized without contest from Gregory or Karen Brooks, who did not respond to the notifications sent to their address. She paused, letting that sink in. For the following 17 years, Gregory and Karen Brooks made 0 attempts to contact Natalie. No birthday cards, no holiday calls, no letters. Raymond Brooks documented each missed milestone, each year of silence. This documentation has been provided to the court in anticipation of exactly this contest. My father's voice was tight. This is a deliberate misrepresentation. We had our reasons for the difficult decision we made. Raymond manipulated a troubled child against her own family. Troubled how? Patricia asked mildly. She was defiant, ungrateful, constantly causing conflict. Can you provide documentation of this behavior? Medical records, school reports, police records? My father's mouth worked. It was a family matter. We didn't involve outside authorities. Strange, Patricia said, because I have Natalie's middle school records here. Honor roll every semester. Perfect attendance. 0 disciplinary incidents. Student council representative. Volunteer tutor. She slid another stack of documents across the table. Her high school records show the same pattern. Valedictorian, 4.0 GPA, National Honor Society, captain of the debate team. Her college transcripts show a 3.94 GPA, graduating with honors from the University of Colorado Boulder. Her CPA certification, her 6 years of employment records at Brooks Commercial Properties, rising from intern to CFO. She looked at my father. Where exactly is the evidence of this troubled, defiant child you're describing? The room was silent. I could hear the faint hum of the heating system, the scratch of the court reporter's pen. My mother spoke up, her voice wavering. We did what we thought was best. Natalie needed structure we couldn't provide. Raymond could give her that. We were trying to help her. By erasing her? Patricia asked. By refusing all contact for 17 years? By telling your friends and family that she was, and I quote from your own Christmas letter of 2012, going through a difficult phase and we're giving her space? She pulled out a printed Christmas card with a family photo, my parents and Jessica, smiling in front of a Christmas tree. No mention of me, no empty space where I should have been. When Natalie graduated high school as valedictorian, Raymond sent you an invitation to the ceremony, Patricia continued. You didn't respond. When she graduated college with honors, he sent another invitation. You returned it unopened. When she became CFO of a multi-million-dollar company at age 28, he sent you a newspaper article about her achievement. You never acknowledged it. She laid out a line of envelopes across the table. Returned mail, unopened, each with my mother's handwriting. Return to sender. Jessica was staring at the envelopes. Mom, you told me Natalie didn't want to hear from us. You said she'd rejected the family. She did, my mother said quickly. She chose Raymond over us. She was 13, Patricia said. You chose to relinquish her. You signed the papers. No one forced you. My father's voice rose. Raymond poisoned her against us. He turned her into this cold, vindictive person who's now trying to steal his estate from his actual family. Steal? Patricia raised her eyebrows. Let me read the final bequest. To my daughter, Natalie Christine Brooks, I leave my entire estate, including all properties, assets, investments, and personal effects. Current estimated value, $23.7 million. She has earned this not through blood relation, but through her dedication, her intelligence, her kindness, and her unwavering commitment to building something meaningful. She is the daughter I chose, and she chose me back. This is what family actually means. The room erupted. My father shouting about manipulation, my mother crying, Jessica sitting frozen with her hands over her mouth. The charity representatives exchanging uncomfortable glances. Marcus Reeves from Brooks Commercial Properties watching my parents with undisguised disgust. Patricia raised her voice. There's more. Raymond Brooks left a sealed letter for Natalie, to be opened only in her presence and read only if she chooses. Natalie? She held out a cream-colored envelope with my name written in Uncle Raymond's careful handwriting. My hands were steady as I took it. I broke the seal and pulled out 2 pages of his writing. The room went quiet. Would you like to read it privately? Patricia asked. No, I said. Read it aloud. She nodded and took the letter from me. Dear Natalie, Patricia read, if you're reading this, then I'm gone. And Gregory is already doing exactly what I knew he would do. He's claiming that I manipulated you, that you manipulated me, that the money should be his as my brother and blood relative. He's probably brought Karen and Jessica for moral support and to look like a united family. Let me tell you what he won't. I planned for this exact moment for 17 years. The day I took you in, I called a lawyer. Not because I didn't trust you, I trusted you completely. Because I knew my brother. I knew what kind of man throws away his own child because she asks too many questions. I knew what kind of woman signs those papers without a second thought. I knew what kind of sister benefits from your absence and never speaks up. I've saved everything, Natalie. Every returned letter, every ignored invitation, every birthday they forgot, every achievement they dismissed. I've documented their 17 years of silence. I've prepared legal defenses against every argument they might make. I've ensured that no judge, no court, no law can take away what you and I built together. Do you remember what I told you the day you moved in? You're not a guest. You're not temporary. This is your home. I meant it. You were home the moment you walked through my door with that backpack full of library books and that expression that broke my heart. Like you expected me to change my mind at any second. You were never difficult. You were never the problem. You were a child who deserved better than what they gave you. And I'm sorry I didn't step in sooner. I'm sorry I didn't know what they were doing until it was almost too late. But I'm not sorry for the 17 years we had. Every single day with you was a gift. Watching you grow from a scared 13-year-old to this brilliant, strong, kind woman has been the greatest privilege of my life. You made me a father when I thought I'd never have that chance. The money is yours. The company is yours. The life we built is yours. Not because you're my heir, but because you earned every single dollar of it through your work, your intelligence, your dedication. The portfolio grew from $17.7 million to $23.7 million because of you. Those 34% returns? That's all you, little architect. Don't let them guilt you. Don't let them rewrite history. Don't give them a single dollar just to make them go away. Stand up, show them the documents, and walk away knowing you owe them nothing. You were always enough. You were always worthy. You were always exactly who you were supposed to be. Build something big, little architect. You already have. All my love, Uncle Raymond. Patricia's voice cracked slightly on the last line. She set down the letter carefully. The silence in that room was absolute. I could see tears running down Donna Park's face. Marcus Reeves was staring at my parents with something like fury. Stephen Wu, the accountant, was shaking his head slowly. My mother was crying openly now, her mascara running. "We didn't know," she whispered. "We didn't know he felt that way about you." "You didn't ask," I said. My voice was calm, steady. "In 17 years, you never once asked how I was doing. You never once wondered if I was okay, if I graduated, if I was alive. You didn't know because you didn't want to know." Jessica finally spoke. "Natalie, I didn't realize. Mom and Dad said you were angry, that you didn't want contact, that we should give you space. I was 13, I said. I was a child. What was I supposed to do? Call you from my uncle's house and beg you to remember I existed?" "We thought we were doing the right thing," my father said, but his voice had lost its certainty. "No," I said. "You thought you were doing the easy thing. I asked too many questions. I challenged the narrative. I didn't worship Jessica the way you did. So you erased me. You took the legal steps to make sure I stopped being your problem." I stood up. "Uncle Raymond left you nothing because you deserve nothing. You gave up your rights to me, and you gave up any claim to his estate when you ignored every single attempt he made to include you in my life. He tried, even after everything you did. He tried because he thought maybe you'd grown, maybe you'd changed, maybe you'd realize what you'd lost. You proved him wrong every single time." I looked at Patricia. "Do you need anything else from me?" "No," she said. "The will is ironclad. The documentation is comprehensive. If they choose to contest, they'll lose, and they'll pay court costs for the privilege." I picked up my bag. At the door, I turned back. "For what it's worth, I hope you live long, healthy lives. I hope you have everything you wanted. I hope Jessica's success brings you all the joy you need. But I'm not part of that anymore. I haven't been since August 3rd, 2008, when you signed me away. That was your choice. This is mine." I walked out. Behind me, I heard my mother say my name, but I didn't stop. I took the elevator down 47 floors, walked out into the February afternoon, and drove home. 3 months later, I'm sitting in my office at Brooks Commercial Properties. The company is mine now, officially. The board voted unanimously to keep me on as CEO. We've just closed on a new property in Boulder, a mixed-use development that will bring the portfolio value to just over $25 million. Marco brings me coffee at 3 p.m. like he does every day. Your 3:30 is here, he says. It's a college student from CU Boulder, a business major with a 3.8 GPA who applied for our summer internship program. Her name is Emma. She reminds me of myself at that age, smart, hungry, a little uncertain, trying to prove something. Tell me why you want to work in commercial real estate, I say. She launches into a practiced speech about market dynamics and investment opportunities. I let her finish, then ask, "But why do you want it?" She pauses. "I want to build something that lasts," she says finally, "something I can point to and say, 'I made that.'" I hire her on the spot. In my desk drawer, I keep the letter from Uncle Raymond and a photo of the two of us from my college graduation. He's wearing a tie I bought him, and we're both grinning like idiots because I'd just tripped on my graduation gown walking across the stage. I think about him every day. I think about the choice he made to take in a 13-year-old kid who wasn't his responsibility. I think about the 17 years he spent being the parent I needed instead of the parent I had. I think about my biological parents too, sometimes. Not with anger anymore, just with a kind of distant sadness for people who were so afraid of being questioned that they threw away their own child. My mother calls every few months, leaving voicemails about family and healing and moving forward. I don't call back. Jessica sends emails. I don't respond. They made their choice 17 years ago in a family courtroom. I'm making mine now. If you're watching this and you've ever been told you're difficult just for asking questions, just for wanting to be seen, just for expecting the same love your sibling gets, I want you to hear this. You're not difficult. You're not too much. You're not the problem. And the people who made you feel that way don't get to decide your worth. Some people will only love you as long as you stay small enough not to challenge them. Those aren't your people. Your people are the ones who see you asking questions and think, "Good, ask more." Your people are the ones who celebrate your success instead of resenting it. Blood doesn't make family. Choice does. Commitment does. Showing up when it's hard does. Uncle Raymond chose me. I chose him back. That's what family actually means. If you've ever had to walk away from people who were supposed to love you unconditionally, but made their love conditional on your silence, type, "I walked away," in the comments. Or if you chose to keep fighting for your boundaries within that relationship, type, "I stayed and fought." Both are brave. Both are valid. Both are choices you make to survive. If this story meant something to you, check the description for more stories just like this one. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening.